Be honest with yourself for a moment. Who really runs the world? Is it the president speaking at press conferences, the parliament voting on laws, or the people who show up to vote every few years? Or is there another kind of power, invisible, silent, yet capable of changing the fate of entire nations? The uncomfortable truth is this: power really sits where the media points, and most of the time, the ones truly in control never appear in the picture. People like to believe there is one system, clean, fair, transparent, a system that runs countries logically, predictably, safely. But reality is far more complex, harsher, smarter. Every political system tells you the same thing: we exist to protect you, but very few are honest enough to say this instead. We exist to control. Oligarchy does not always mean crowns or thrones. Sometimes archipelago, it means standing behind the throne, a small group, very small, holding influence over money, over money, over money, over politics. They don't need to be elected. They don't need to be visible. Supporters of the system call it natural. They point to a rule, the Pareto principle. 20% create 80% of the results. And they say, if a few produce more, shouldn't they decide more? But here's the real question: does productivity equal legitimacy when money outpaces the law? When decisions are measured in profit, you are no longer inside a state, you are inside a market. Here power is not a title, power is a number. Long ago, they said that is the best rule. But one question was always missing: who decides who the best are, and by what standards? When the best becomes inherited, the system begins to rot. A ruler's for life, sometimes symbolic, sometimes absolute. Power here is not chosen, it is inherited. At some point, people started asking a dangerous question: what if power didn't belong to kings? What if it didn't belong to the wealthy? What if power could be fair? That idea changed everything. The Republic was born. In theory, power belongs to the people, not directly, but through representatives. People choose, leaders act, at least that's the promise. History tells a different story. Many republics kept the name and lost the meaning. The crown disappeared, stayed exactly where it was. Then came another idea. What if knowledge ruled instead of popularity? Technocracy, ruled by experts, by scientists, by those who understand systems. No speeches, no emotional slogans, just data, logic, numbers. But even this system hides a question: who controls the experts, and what happens when knowledge serves power instead of truth? Then there is democracy, the most famous promise of all, rule of the people, one person, one vote. On paper it sounds perfect, but reality asks quietly: does the vote really rule? Or does the platform decide who gets heard? Does the people choose freely, or are choices carefully prepared? Because influence doesn't need a majority, it only needs control over attention. Now leave theory and step into reality, because systems don't reveal themselves in books. They reveal themselves in how people live. Authoritarianism, power centralized, decisions flow downward, obedience comes before freedom, order before the individual. Here, questions are dangerous, but some systems go further. Totalitarianism. This is not just control of laws, it's control of thought, culture, beliefs, fear. The state doesn't govern life. The state becomes life. Then there is theocracy, where power wears a sacred robe, politics becomes holy, and criticism becomes heresy. Here obedience is faith. Now imagine a system without ideals. Kleptocracy. This isn't ruled by the rich. This is organized theft. Power exists to steal. Law becomes a cover. And then there is a quiet one. Corporatocracy. Corporations don't pressure governments. They write the rules. They shape policy. They decide the future. Here the logo replaces the flag. So now ask yourself, who really rules? Is it the title, the position, the office, or is it control? Because power doesn't announce itself, it doesn't campaign, it doesn't ask permission, it operates quietly, consistently, and always in the shadows. The real question isn't who holds power. The real question is, why does power keep flowing to the same type of people? If you want to understand the world, you must understand power. And if you want to see clearly, you must stay aware. Subscribe, because what comes next won't be comfortable. But awareness is power.